Hey guys, and welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nazjaa and I make college or lifestyle related content. Go ahead and check out some of my other videos if you haven't already, but today I'm going to be talking about everything I wish I knew before I came to college. So in case you are unfamiliar, I currently attend Stanford University. I am finishing out my freshman year from home, of course, because of the coronavirus and the quarantine, but I just wanted to make this video to talk about some things that shocked me as I transitioned to college and I became an official college student. Some things I just didn't expect, and some things that I wish people told me before I actually came to college and started doing my everyday routine, going to class, talking to professors, networking, socializing, all of that. So today I'm going to be talking about 20 things I wish I knew before I stepped foot on a college campus and just before this whole transitional period in my life began. Before we get into the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram if you have any questions, and also click that bell to get notified anytime I post a new video. I post every Monday and Friday, but during quarantine I've been posting 2 to 3 times a week, so just click that bell to get notified. I usually post Monday, Friday, and sometimes Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So thanks for watching. Let's just get right into this video about the 20 things I wish I knew before I came to college. Okay, so I wrote notes on my phone, so if you see me looking down, that's why. The first thing I wish I knew before I came to college and got on campus was that it's okay to do things alone. So this is something I wish I knew, and I wish a lot of other people knew. You do not always need friends to go and do something. I get it's kind of awkward. You might be going out of your comfort zone by going to an event by yourself, or talking to people by yourself, or just going new places by yourself. But you really need to learn that it's okay to not always be with somebody and not always go with somebody to somewhere. If you want to go somewhere and somebody else doesn't, you should still go. You should still go to that event. You should still network, and you should still make the most out of every opportunity. Of course I do random things alone, I'll go out to eat alone, I'll go to the store alone, but in terms of events, I wish I knew that it was okay to go and do things alone and just meet new people and make new friends, even if your friends aren't going, or even if you don't know anybody there. The second thing I wish I knew not to do was to buy textbooks. You do not need to buy textbooks. I promise you don't need to buy the textbook. In most cases, you do not need to buy the textbook or the book. So when I got on campus, I had a class that required 7 novels, books, not textbooks, but actual books, and they wanted us to order all these from Amazon. And I went ahead, as soon as I got the syllabus, I was like, okay, let me go and order my books so they'll be on time. Turns out most of the PDFs were online for free, so I wasted my money for one, and then some of the books we didn't even have to read. So you or someone else will find that textbook PDF somewhere online, so go ahead and scour all the websites for that. Just don't waste your money right away. If you look and you can't find the textbook, then you might have to buy it, of course, but don't go and buy that textbook right away. Another reason not to go ahead and buy the textbook right away is that you might not need it to pass the class. So some professors just use the textbook as a supplement and not actual as part of the required materials for that course. So even if they say there's a textbook, just make sure that you might not need the textbook. For some classes I've had, I haven't actually needed to look at the textbook in order to learn the content, because everything was taught in class and they were just regurgitating the textbook, so I didn't need to have both of those sources. And just a side tip, even if you do absolutely need a textbook and you just cannot afford it, just contact your professor or contact some of your classmates. I'm sure somebody can share with you. They can give you the PDF version, or the professor can make something happen and work with you to make sure that you're not missing content in that textbook that you can't afford. Okay, the third thing I wish I knew that I learned before I even came to college was how to study and how to take notes. So this is something that's really important and that you need to know, how you prefer to take notes and how you prefer to study. Because I've gotten to college and I've tried a couple of different things. I've tried digital notes, paper notes, I've tried typing notes, I've tried writing notes on my iPad, I've tried studying this, memorizing, reviewing, writing down. I've just tried a bunch of things, and I wish I just knew how I like to study and how it's optimal for me to study and what I can make the most out of. And so that's one thing I suggest you guys know, is just figure out how you like to study, where you like to study, when you like to study, and how you like to take notes in order for you to do best in your classes. So that's one thing I wish I knew, because I'm definitely struggling with that right now. The next thing is to not take early classes. So don't take 8 a.m.s or 9 a.m.s or even 10 a.m.s, to be honest, but don't take 4, 5, 6, 7. In winter quarter, I had classes literally from 11 or from 1 to 8:30. So you have to figure out what works for you. Personally, I think the greatest block is between 11 and 4. If you can get everything done in between those times, you'd have time in the morning to wake up and get yourself ready for the day, but you'll also have time to go have fun in between that 4 to 6 period, or forward to dinner time and then studying later. So it's just like whatever schedule works for you, you should figure that out. So I learned that I do not like morning classes and I do not like late classes, so I need to schedule everything in that block. And from now on, I'm just going to schedule my classes more appropriately when possible. And it's not always possible, of course, but I'm definitely going to remember that for the future. People would always tell me, like, before I went to college, ooh, do not take an 8 a.m, do not go to early classes. And like, I already knew I didn't like early classes, but baby, those late classes are not cute either. So you need to figure out a time that works for you. The next thing is kind of related to my textbook thing, but sometimes you do not have to do all of the assigned readings that they tell you in the syllabus. Actually, all of my classes that tell me like you need to read this, you need to read this, you need to read this, that is just not the case. Like, you don't always have to read it to do well in the class, but it is supplemental, like extra material that will help you learn more of the content and just like be more familiar with different things. But sometimes it's just not integral to the class and you don't have to stress yourself out. So if you already know you have a whole bunch of work to do and then you have like 300 pages, you do not have to read all 300 of those pages for that one class. Like, you'll be fine reading a little bit, figuring out, skimming through the text, and just getting the most out of like as few pages as possible, because sometimes you just do not have the time, the effort, the concentration to be able to sit down and read those 300 whatever pages. So I've just learned that you don't always have to do all of the readings. Just figure out which ones are important and just skim through the rest, or like read summaries for the rest. Sixth thing that I wish I knew, which I'm still learning right now, is to pay attention to the class website and all of the announcements that are told in class. So in the beginning of class, usually your professor will be like, okay, here's some announcements for the week, like make sure you sign up for section, make sure you sign up for this discussion, we're canceling all the quizzes, we're changing the dates for these essays. Like, these are all things that have happened to me that I did not pay attention to, and I was very lost until my friends like told me like, girl, that essay is not even due today. Sometimes you just aren't listening in the first 10 minutes of class, or sometimes you forget to check the announcement board or like Canvas or the website or whatever. So I'm just reminding you guys to make sure you do that before you start getting into all these assignments, and before you think you're signed up for everything you're supposed to be signed up for, just go and make sure. Okay, the next thing I kind of knew already, but I want to emphasize, is that it's okay to be undecided. For Stanford specifically, and I know for a lot of colleges, you don't have to declare your first year, you don't have to declare your major, you don't have to know what you're doing in life, and I think it's really good to be able to explore and just figure out what you like. And it's really okay to not know what you want to do, especially if you go to a place that is not like pressuring you, but allowing you to take the time and explore, see what you like, and then declare like in your sophomore or junior year. The next thing I wish I knew is kind of related to like the how I like to study thing, but I wish I found like early on, when I got on campus, I wish I found places that were optimal for me to study. So I said this in a time management or like organization like tips video, I'm not sure which one. I said that it's important to find your spot or your place, and I meant that it's important to find somewhere where you can be the most productive and you can study. So I wish coming to college I realized that I needed to be able to find this place early on in my freshman year that I could always like go to and study. Like, it'll come about, of course, as you're exploring more places, but I just wish I found it earlier on, because I was really productive in certain places and not productive in other places that I was trying to go. So like, I would go outside and like be on the yard, and that is not where I'm about to be productive, and I needed to know that. So if I really need to get work done, I'll go to my place, and that's just one thing that's really helpful to know as you're transitioning into college and figuring out where to work and how to work and when to work. The ninth thing I wish I knew is that it is okay to miss out on just things in general. Like, of course you're gonna be okay with missing like some stuff you don't want to go to. Like, I was okay with missing parties, I was okay with missing a few things here and there. There are some things that I just felt obligated to go to, but that is not the case. Like, you do not have to go to every single thing on campus. You don't always have to hang out with your friends. You don't always have to go here and do that and just be active all the time. Even though that's like the culture of college, is just doing a lot all the time. That is not the case whatsoever, and I definitely wish I knew that. Like, there's some stuff that I just did not need to go to, and I did not need to stress myself out over. I could have like prioritized working or relaxing or just taking care of myself. So remember to just be able to say no to certain things. The 10th thing I wish I knew is that I needed to be ready, like be ready to apply to summer internships, summer programs, research positions, jobs, literally right off the bat. Right when I got on school, September, application due, application due, application due, turn your application now, network for this. Like, literally everything was coming up right then, and I just like, I had heard like, yeah, it's gonna be due early, like you're not gonna be doing applications in January, but I didn't think it would be right then. So that is one thing I wish I knew. If you're interested in doing like summer jobs, summer opportunities, internships, anything, be ready to apply. Have that LinkedIn ready, have that resume ready. Like, you need to be writing these applications on top of your classes. Like, that's one thing that I wish I knew, is I really underestimated how quickly the application process would come for some of these internships and stuff. So that's just one thing that I recommend to you guys, is just be aware of how early everything is due once you get to college. Okay, and I'm sorry about the fluctuating light, like the sun is going in and out behind the clouds. So the next thing that I wish I knew before I came to college was that networking is very important. And not even networking in the sense like you're getting dressed up and you're going to meet all these fancy business people, but just networking with other students, networking with staff, networking with professors. Like, literally a connection can come from anywhere, and an opportunity can come from any one of these people that you meet. And you can just like get connections through other people, and I wish I did more of that as I was going through my freshman year. But it's definitely something I'm gonna work on when I move forward, because networking is important, connections are important. Like, literally anybody can put you on to an opportunity, even if it's just a casual conversation, an email, a text. Like, just keep in touch with people. Okay, next I want to remind you guys to pay attention to the grade distribution. So this is one thing I wish I definitely paid more attention to in my freshman year. Make sure you know if attendance counts, make sure you know if participation counts, how much homework counts for, grades, exams. Make sure you really pay attention to how your grade is broken down, because that can dictate how you react in that class. Like, if attendance isn't mandatory, you don't always have to show up. If you're feeling stressed one day, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't have to go to that one class because attendance is not mandatory. Or if participation is mandatory, make sure you're participating in that class to get that grade. And that's just things that you need to pay attention to so you can get the best grade possible. And that's definitely one thing that I need to work on moving forward, is just paying attention to those little grade distributions. Okay, the next thing is kind of an unpopular opinion. Literally everybody told me before I came to college, go to office hours, go to office hours, go to office hours. That's all I heard, was go to office hours. And my opinion on that is that you don't have to go to office hours. From my experience, especially taking mostly humanities classes, you do not have to go to a professor's office hours to do well in the class. Like, it's definitely helpful, of course, but I just think that you don't really have to go, especially if you have like a TA or like section, like a smaller like discussion, or you just have like an online interaction with your professors. You definitely don't have to go to office hours. If you just have like a quick question that can be answered through email or answered on a discussion forum. So that's just my opinion, is that you don't always have to go to office hours. That's an unpopular opinion, I think, because office hours can definitely be helpful, but you don't always have to go. Okay, the next thing I wish I knew, and I kind of did know it, but I wanted to put it in here anyway, is to make sure to try and set a good foundational GPA your freshman year. So basically just try your best your freshman year so you can have that good foundational GPA, and then all the other years, if something goes wrong, you'll able to have that good foundation. And I'm not saying like slack off your other years, but just try to have the best freshman year, especially because these are all your intro level classes, and it's probably only going to get harder from here. So just make sure to have that good foundational GPA. I also wish that I knew to spend more time with friends and more time like doing things. So I know that's kind of contradicting my earlier statement, but there's just like some things, especially now, like in this situation that we're in, quarantine, with not being able to like see any of your friends, not being on campus or anything. I kind of wish I made the most out of my time with my friends. Make sure to spend quality time with your friends while you're able to, because it is a blessing to have those friends in your life and have those people you can rely on and have fun with on campus. And the 16th thing that I wanted to mention was that you should explore classes. So I didn't really know going in what I wanted to do in my freshman year or like in my major or anything, so I just explored a lot of classes, and people didn't really emphasize this as much as I was like transitioning to college. They were like, figure out your major, take intro major classes and see what you like. But you can really explore all kinds of different fields and see what you like. I've just been trying different things and exploring and seeing what I actually like, and I think that's really helpful in being able to decide your actual major, because you're seeing like what things you like and what things you don't like. So that's one thing I would definitely suggest going into your freshman year. So the 17th thing that I wish I knew was to save my summer money. So I had a job, and I suggest you guys get a job this summer before you go to college. I had a job and I was just shopping. I was spending money. I was doing what I do. I was like, it's fine. When I get on campus, I'll just have another job. That's not the mindset to have. I wish I knew to save my money that I earned from my summer job for when I was in college and when I wanted to go out to eat and when I wanted to shop and when I wanted to go have fun with my friends. I wish I knew to save all of that money, because I was definitely stressing trying to find a job and trying to work and do YouTube and stuff to try to make money on the side to pay for things that I wanted. So I definitely suggest you guys get a job beforehand and just make sure to save and budget. Especially, I'm not good at this at all, but budget out how much money you want to spend per week, how much you're allowed to spend per week, and just everything, all the expenses that you have versus all the desires that you have. So that's one thing I definitely suggest, so that you're not stressing about money or anything as you're going through college. Number 18, and I literally just learned this from another video, but one thing I wish I knew after each class was to write down all the things that I got out of that class, everything I learned from that class, a meaningful project, meaningful like skills that I learned from that class. And so I would just have like a diary of things that I've learned throughout each class that I've taken, and the professors, what they've taught me. And then I could take like some of these like most important things and put them on my LinkedIn or on my resume, and just figure out like the skills that I've acquired, the projects I've done, like who I've networked with, and important things like that. So I'm definitely going to start doing that in the future, but I just thought that was a good tip from somebody else's video. I can't remember her name, but I'll link it down below. It was a really helpful tip, and I'm definitely going to start doing that in the future, because I have worked on some really cool projects and gotten to do some really cool things throughout just my freshman year. So I know that as time builds up, I'll have all these skills and all these projects and stuff to reference as I'm doing my resume, as I'm doing my LinkedIn, as I'm doing my interviews. Okay, the 19th thing that I wanted to mention is that you should do your research. And by do your research, I literally mean with anything, but not only like do your research about the college, do your research about the classes, but I wish I knew to do more research about like my prospective major, the opportunities on campus, the clubs on campus, literally anything that has to do with the school that I'm about to be at for the next 4 years of my life. I feel like I should have done a little bit more research and just be more aware of everything that's available to me on campus, because I'm still finding out like, oh, I could have did this, oh, I could have applied for that, oh, I could have did this. Like, I wish I knew all of that at the beginning of the year. So I'm definitely suggesting to you guys to do your research about anything on that campus and anything you might want to get involved in, and just be aware of all the stuff you have access to, all the resources, all the clubs and stuff that you might want to join. And just have like an idea. Like, you don't have to act on it. You don't have to be like, okay, I'm gonna do that application, do that application, do that application, but just be like, oh yeah, if I ever want to do that, I can go do that. So the 20th and last thing that I wish I knew before coming to college was not to compare myself to other people. So I know that throughout high school and probably throughout the college application process, especially if you're applying to these super competitive schools, is that you were just comparing yourself left and right, comparing your scores, comparing your stats, comparing your extracurriculars. And I just want to let you guys know that it's not important. Like, you don't need to compare yourself to the next person, and you should not compare yourself to the next person, because y'all are different. You have different interests, good at different things, you're different people. And I just wish I knew that going in. I'm not one to compare myself too heavily, but I found myself throughout the year comparing myself to like other people who were in the same place as me, who had done all these amazing things, like people who were doing this in this class and this in this class, and I was just like comparing myself to others and just trying to figure out like, did I belong here? But I want to reiterate that is not good, and you should not do that, because you are your own person, you're successful, you're in that place for a reason. And of course people tell me that all the time, but it just needs to be ingrained in your head. You do not need to compare yourself. You're successful in your own way. So those are the 20 things that I wish I knew before coming to college. There's probably a lot more, and I'll probably think of some later. Those are like the big 20 things that I wish I knew before my freshman year. I'm probably gonna do another video like somewhere down the road, like what I wish I knew before coming to college in general, because I'm sure I'm gonna learn a lot more things and be like, dang, I wish somebody told me that beforehand. But I hope this video helps you guys out. If you have any other video ideas, make sure to comment them down below or DM me on Instagram or anything. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell and follow me on Instagram if you have any questions. But I will see you guys on Friday.